and welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I am your host, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another AFL round review. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, another round of footy. Round nine has come. It has gone. What an interesting round of football. Some results that unfortunately might have been a tiny bit predictable. I know in my tipping, I was 8-1, the one and only one that I missed, I have to admit. I didn't miss by much, but I did, unfortunately. And joining me today, a very good friend of the podcast, somebody I'm so happy I can have on the podcast. I've talked about this gentleman on the Sandful Snapshot show. Great friend. I've also had the luxury of sitting down with him, Mr. Brad Farrell. Brad, it is great to see you, sir.
No, it's good to be chatting with you again about footy. It's always fun, and it's certainly something that brings a lot of people joy and a great sport. So always happy to talk about it.
That it is, that it is. Now, before we get to the AFL, sir, the last time that we talked, you had the luxury of coaching your beloved Norwood. Now, things have changed a little bit. And again, I don't want to be negative here, but I want to check in. How are you doing? What are you up to? Because now you're coaching a new side.
Yeah, no, I'm coaching at Moorfield Park, and it's back to probably my footy home in a sense that that's where I started my coaching career, and I spent a lot of time there, and it's probably gives me a little bit more balance with life and not working sort of 35 hours a week on a Stanford WH, which isn't exactly enough to support you full time. So I've really enjoyed the still being involved at footy, being back at a club I loved. I was initially not going to coach for a couple of years, but the job came up there for the A grade, and it was something I didn't really want to pass up because I'm certainly looking to take some time off in the future, but to get the chance to coach back at a place that I've got so many special friends and connections, so I thought I'd give a year or two back there.
Wonderful, wonderful to hear and everything like that. And so just happy that you're happy where you are. And I know that everything wasn't always, it was a little bit stressful, but again, like we said on the podcast, so happy that you took care of your mental health and you're back to
Yeah.
good and you're enjoying coaching the football, which is absolutely fantastic. So let's hop right into it, sir. Round nine has come. It has gone really quickly. Your thoughts on the round as a whole? Because as we said, I think the word easily said is predictable.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, I probably didn't expect North Melbourne to get as close to Sydney. I think they're the best team in it right now. But I think North are improving. The next step, and hopefully they don't work it out this week, but the next step is working out how to finish those games out and win those close ones. So, as a Crow supporter, I'm hoping they can wait another week till they find that. But they're certainly improving, and they've got some really good talent there. So, and their kids are really starting to shine, and to do what they did without Larky really having an impact on the game is showing that they've come a long way.
Yeah, 100%. I did the show further north previewing that game, and I remember the host looking at me kind of nuts because I said I thought it was going to be 3 goals or less, and I said that I said this is a game that scares me as a Swans. This was a game that scared me as a Swans fan because Swans sometimes these games they took lightly. They've lost to Gold Coast when Gold Coast was towards the bottom of the ladder in an exact same situation like this. I
Yeah,
fully agree with you. This is a very good North team that I think when they click, they're going to be scary because the great young talent, having George Wardlaw back and healthy and playing the kamikaze football that he
yeah,
plays, man, it's so much fun. And the fact that he did it, the 1996 reunion was there, and I agree with what the announcer said. I think George Wardlaw would have fit into the 1996 team like a glove. It would have been fantastic. But let's wax lyrical a little bit more about that a little bit later because that was definitely a game. As much as as much as it scared me as a Swans fan, I thoroughly enjoyed it as a footy fan because I thought that was a
yeah.
cracking game of football because those two teams went at it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. So let's jump right into it. Thursday night footy sees a cracker out west in Optus Stadium as Fremantle Dockers get a 15-point win, 88-73. But this is one of those where the Hawks led for most of this game. They seemed to have the upper hand, but Fremantle kind of just went not on our home patch and absolutely lit it up in the fourth quarter and took the lead and did not look back. A cracking game out west. Your thoughts on this Great win by Fremantle, beating another team that's up there in the top of the top four side in the competition.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good game of footy. I had the pleasure of sort of watching that. Well, I watch most, try to watch most games, if not every game, every week. But this was one of the better ones I've seen this year. I thought Luke Jackson pretty much carried the team across the line in the last quarter. His last quarter was outstanding, and I think he's only going to continue to get better. And like he's their best midfielder, he's their best forward, and he's their best ruck. So. Um, I just thought like even that smother on the wing for someone his size
Mhm.
to get across and put that smother on, they go down the end and kick the sealer. But I think he had from memory, had a hand in all of their last four goals. So he certainly was. I'm not sure that he was the best player on the ground because it took him till three-quarter time to really get going. But he certainly had the biggest influence on the result, I thought.
Yeah, 100%. He definitely he's really come into his own and is really starting to make you think now as when Sean Darcy becomes healthy, does Sean Darcy actually come back in? Because Sean Darcy's not a forward. Sean Darcy is a rock.
Yeah.
But the problem now is the fact is that with Luke Jackson really thriving as the number one rock, with having Mason Cox be able to give him a spell here and there, it's kind of become a better option having Big Mesa in there because Mesa can go forward. He can bring it down to let their small forwards, the Fredericks, the Sam Switowskis, be able to get the crumbs and different things like that. I mean, their forward line's already scary with Josh Tracy, who seems to clunk everything. I mean, he comes down with a cold in the desert the way he's going. But like I'm looking at it going, is Sean Darcy going to step right back into the team? I don't think so. Right now, I think if I'm Coach Longmuir, I leave Mason Cox in there until something goes wrong because it's working. It's working really, really well. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens when Big Sean Darcy gets healthy. Does he come back in, or does he have to play a little bit in the waffle, unless a Cox or a Jackson get hurt again? Touch wood that doesn't happen for Fremantle fans, but I don't see Sean Darcy stepping right back into this squad. And then with Hawthorne, this is solid. I I'm interested for you as a coach, sir. When you lose a key back like a Tom Barras, what's kind of going through your head because they don't really have a ready replacement in the squad. Yes, you lose the rotation, but I don't think the rotation is as big a loss nowadays, having five on the bench.
Not far on the bench, no.
But what do you do in that situation? I mean, nobody's panicking. I mean, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But as Coach Mitchell in the box, I mean, what's your first thought when you lose your key back?
I mean, you've got to sort of stay in the game at the moment. Like, I think as soon as the siren goes, you're obviously thinking about it to next week, but you sort of can't get too far down the track when you still had a game to win on the line there. But I don't think that they're really spoilt for key defenders, so that makes it tough, and then that makes Sicily have to play more of a lockdown role, which he doesn't really like to do. So
Mhm.
whether they look at Weddle back a little bit more, I'm not sure where they go with that, but. Having said that, I think Hawthorn Adelaide play them soon, so I'm not upset about that either. But I think they're going to be okay. I think their ability to defend the ground as a team it sort of takes a little bit of pressure off their back. So I think they do that really well. Um, but we'll see there. I thought about it afterwards, and as impressive as Freo were, I didn't lose any faith in Hawthorn off the back of that, and even
Agree.
with Brass going down too. I certainly I think they're probably two of the contenders that right now. So yeah, Brass is a big out for them, but I also think that their team defense can cover that at least in the short term. I don't think he's out for too long. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he moves the magnets around a little bit. I agree. Sicily can take that fullback role, but I think it takes away a little bit of his skills because he is so good with footy in hand. Sometimes unpredictable, but he's still very good with footy in hand. Let's jump up to the Gabba where the result was what we expected, but the margin is probably what nobody expected as the Carlton Blues go up to the Gabba and just fall short to the Brisbane Lions, 100 to 89. OMG, there's maybe life at the Carlton Blues.
Yeah, I said yesterday, I don't actually think they're that bad, Carlton. I just think they aren't able to execute for 4 quarters. Like their second half against Brisbane was as good as I've seen anyone play against Brisbane this year. So
Mhm.
I thought they were really good. I'm not sure what the problem is there, whether why they're only doing it for 40 or 50 minutes in a game. But their best is certainly good enough. They just it's almost like once a team gets a roll on, they just seem almost impossible or incapable of stopping it. So,
Mhm.
um, and Brisbane did that in the first half. And part of me wonders if Brisbane put the queue in the rack a little bit at half time. I mean, credit to Carlton, they were good, but I'm not sure what mindset Brisbane were in there. And when they've been up for so long and winning premierships, a Friday night game at home against Carlton probably isn't getting them as motivated as they've been over the last few years.
No, I agree with you. There's almost a little bit of kind of take the foot out of the and take the foot off the gas, as you said, put the cue in the rack a little bit,
Yeah,
and they kind of had to unleash it a little bit later on because Carlton was coming with a wet sail. So it was very fascinating. Again, I'm happy that Carlton is showing some life because I mean, with all of the carry on and the pile on that they've had to deal with, I could see why they could just wave the white flag. So to see them have a crack to give the defending premiers an absolute scare is good for them. Again, this is Brisbane. They never fully play up to their potential. They are kind of like a diesel engine. They take a little bit to warm up, but when they do, watch out.
yeah,
So as the competition, you're sitting there going, they're still also fully not healthy. There's still a few pieces missing. So as the competition, you're a little scared. But I also there's part of me going, I agree with you, is that they've won two premierships. Are they still motivated to try to go for this third one? Is there a little bit of that desire to win another premiership out of them a little bit because they've accomplished so much in the last couple of years? So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on them to see their trajectory, both of these two teams' trajectories. Is Carlton showing that they're getting better and that they're going to have some success? And the same thing with Brisbane is, are we starting to see the wane of the desire to win premierships? It'll be fast. Both teams will be a fascinating watch. Let's head over to the Adelaide Oval, where I know my co-host will grin a little bit as the Western Bulldogs come into Adelaide Oval and beat Port Adelaide by 2, 74-72. An absolute classic here as the Doggies, the Wonder Man, find a way to knock off the Power.
yeah, yeah. No, I actually thought it was a hard watch for a lot of the game. It almost looked like two teams that didn't want to win with some of their turnovers, and some of
Mhm.
the skill errors were horrific. But I think a part of that is the pressure as well. I thought the pressure from both teams was really elite. So it wasn't just the fact they couldn't hit targets. The pressure was turned up, and both teams are actually pretty desperate to win. And I take no joy in saying it, but I think Port are on the right track. Whilst I can't see them making even the 10 this year. Um, what I do see is that they're certainly headed in the right direction, and if they can somehow manage to keep Zach Butters in the club, they're certainly going to bounce pretty quickly. But either way, I think they're a couple of years off pushing for that top six, top four spot. So I thought it was a good finish, and I think they'll probably um, even for me, a little bit lucky. The Bulldogs, I thought that there was the winning point or the point that put him in front. I'm not sure that the ball actually stayed in the field of play with the handball given to him, given to his teammate to keep the winning point there. So I think it was a bit of a. I think Port will take more out of that game than the Dogs. To be honest with you, I think the Dogs want to be contending right now, but I think Port have showed that they're gonna turn it around pretty quickly.
Yeah, Port's a pesky side this year, but they're inconsistent. They've shown flashes of brilliance and they've shown flashes of absolute disaster, and I think that's why sometimes tipping them is interesting because you, you don't know what Port you're going to get, and
No.
it's not an extreme difference. I think they've played really competitively. It's just that they have these moments of absolute brain fades, and it costs them. But with this doggy, and then the doggies, it's just they're undermanned. They're not playing well. No Libba. Trelaw gets sat out this week, which will be interesting to see. Is it actually an injury, or are they just kind of slowly playing him back in? Because I know he's coming off of a soft tissue injuries that cost him a lot of last year. So this is an interesting one for me because I don't really know how much I want to take out of it because Port,
Nah.
I agree with you. I think they're a bottom six side. I don't think they make the 10 this year, but I think they're going to give some teams some scares as the season goes on because they can have their day when they're
Yeah.
absolutely electric and absolutely can light it up. And Alir is one of the best defenders in the competition this year. I mean, he's got a really solid argument for an All-Australian jacket so far this season. Again, long,
I agree.
a lot of footy still to play. But I think he's played really, really well for Port Adelaide and has been one of their best players on the competition. Seeing Jason Horn-Francis play a little more consistently is a nice change because he has been kind of yin and yang. He's been good, he's been bad. He's been good, he's been bad. He's never been consistently playing great footy.
Yeah, I agree.
So seeing him play a little bit more consistently this year, I think has been great. I mean, I just really hope that Luke Beveridge is not running Bont into the ground when it comes to the doggies because I know he's sore. I know he's not at 100%. And I just worry that if you keep doing this, we're going to hold him out of training and just unleash him on deck. I just don't want him to break down because of the lack of being able to have that training base underneath him. So both of these teams are watches for me. I think Port's going to be that pesky team round 18 to 24 that could knock off a finals contender and cost somebody a final spot. And the doggies is can they get healthy and get some of that form back that they had at the start of the season to make them maybe step back into that could be premiership contendership discussions. So both
Yeah.
will be interesting to see.
I think Georgiades is the one for me. If he could kick straight, Porter probably
This is true.
two or three more wins. Like he's just he
100%.
he's certainly struggled, and I think it's a bit of a mental game with him at the moment because he's showed that he's got the ability to execute. He seems to be a little bit in his own head at the minute.
Yep, yep, I 100% agree with you. If he kicks straight in a couple of those games, they probably win big. So no, 100% with you on this one. So let's go to the coach squeaky bum time game as the Sydney Swans survive a scare from North Melbourne 105-97. And as we kind of said a little bit earlier, I did the Further North podcast and I said I thought this game terrified me because I thought North's been playing some really good football. I know they've had some moments again being a side with a lot of youngsters under the age of 25. They're going to be a little bit more inconsistent, but when they're on and they play their best game, they could be seriously dangerous. And the Swans nearly got nipped by it as an 8-point win, 105-97, absolute cracker. Isaac Keeney playing fantastic football. No Charlie Curnow, no Jai Sarong, no Errol Goulden. The Swans are they're banking points. Are they winning impressively? Let's be honest. No, they're not. They're impressive with their offense. Their defense is having some struggles with no Tommy McCartan back there. You can definitely tell a little bit of the structure that they had earlier this season when they were one of the best teams in the competition defensively is a little bit out the window since Tommy McCartan has went out with his knee injury. So, but man, is it fun to watch this North Side when they get going. I know it was scary being the opponent watching it, but they are fun to watch when Sheasel, Wardlaw, and Finn O'Sullivan are playing some cracking football.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that they're certainly headed in the right direction, and it was probably this year or probably a bit of trouble for Alistair Clarkson. I think if they didn't sort of work it out this year, he might have been coaching career over for him. But they've certainly turned it around and playing some really good footy. And I wouldn't want to be playing them if I was any team, even Sydney, who I think are the best team in it. They were certainly troubled by them, and I'm not sure Sydney played their best footy, but again. Um, I don't think you'd have to be far off for North to beat you. So they're certainly what I would see as probably the most improved side this year. They were pretty easy beats last year, North Melbourne, and I don't think anyone, even Geelong, were down halfway through the third quarter last week, and yeah, they had a pretty impressive win in the finish, but they certainly had to work harder than the scoreboard reflected for it.
Yep. Well, and Georgie Wardlow didn't play in that game, and you can definitely tell he's a barometer for them. Like when he has a
Yeah,
good game and he's doing the kamikaze stuff that he's doing, it lifts the entire squad. Jai Simpkin has stepped out into that wing role and absolutely made it his own. He's been looking fantastic. And as you said earlier, Nick Larkey didn't even have one of his better games. He was a little bit wayward going on goal, but man, this is a scary, scary side if they get going. So I'm thoroughly intrigued because I'm gonna say it. Be careful. North can make finals if they can catch the right form. I think North can
no, I
make
agree.
finals. I think they've got the squad to be able to
I
do it,
agree.
which should be so much fun to watch the
I think
North
they can.
faithful. I
I
agree.
think I don't know that they will, but I think they can.
Yep, yep. Being 10 this year, I think makes it a little bit more possible. If it was still an eight, I'd be a little bit I'm
Mm.
not sure I could go eight. I think they could get to ninth or tenth, which would be absolutely fantastic for them. Get a finals feel, even if you don't get out of even if you don't get out of that play-in or wild card round, as they say, it's still good experience for these young footballers to experience finals footy and the intensity ramp up. Even in a play-in game, I think would be absolutely fantastic for them. But yeah, full plaudits to North. Like they played fantastic. Sydney, so wipe the brow, take the 4 points, get on and get ready for Collingwood this week, which I think will be an interesting game up at the SCG. We'll discuss that one a little bit later. So hop up to NG Stadium as the Giants get a win over Essendon, but a little bit like North, Essendon having a crack. Only lose by 14, 103-89. So this Bomber side, they've been kicked and kicked and kicked and kicked. They're starting to kind of show a little bit of fight back. Again, fall a little bit short, but I'm glad that this team is showing some fight because the way they are absolutely being piled on, I could understand them just waving the white flag and rolling over.
No, I think the pylons have been a bit over the top, to be honest with you. Like, they know where they're at and they're rebuilding, and they're going to struggle for a few years. I don't know too many teams that go that full rebuild path that don't. So I think some of the pylon on them's been a bit over the top, and even some
Mhm.
like Ben Mackay, yeah, he's not playing good footy, but I don't think it'd matter if Lear or whoever the best defender in the AFL is at the moment will be playing back there. They'd be having a tough time with the way the ball's coming in. So yeah, I'd agree. I think the pylon and Essendon's been almost embarrassing at times. I think the media, people in the media that are just trying to justify their roles and justify their jobs, and that's a cheap target to go after at the moment. But no, I was really glad to see that Essendon really pushed them and probably were in a winnable position, and they probably showed signs of a team that hasn't won for a long time. Um, and struggled to win games. I mean, they beat Melbourne, but outside of that, they haven't won for a long time. So, no, I thought it was really positive, and I think they've got some good kids there. They just need to make sure they keep that. It's almost like when GWS and Gold Coast came in, like they just need to keep that group together. And I actually think they can, in 3 or 4 years, be pushing on that edge of finals and possibly even a little bit higher than that.
Yep. No, I agree with you. And it's like, I think they've kind of done the same thing to Jacob Wiedering at Carlton. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, well, it's not easy to play your best football when you're constantly on your heels because the ball's constantly coming into your 50. You start to, after the third, fourth, fifth repeat inside 50, you start to get a little bit winded, which makes it much easier for a forward because as a defender, you're reacting, whereas a forward, you're proactive to try to lead. So you're
Yeah.
always on your heels when it comes to, especially if the ball's coming in multiple times. So I agree. I think it's just a little bit too much of a pylon. But here's my retort to that. And again, it's kind of a cop out a little bit, but it is how some fans see it. Is he came over for a lot of money. This was supposedly
No, I agree.
the piece to resistance for this Essendon side to maybe make finals and get this streak over with. And let's be honest, he has not performed to that contract. Again, the difference between Australian sport and American sport. With American sport, we know how much he's on. Okay, everybody knows. There's websites that will tell us exactly how much money he's being paid. Unfortunately, with you guys, you don't have that. So there isn't that ability for somebody to go on a website and go, "Well, you're being paid 1.2 million, dude. What the heck?" Like, So
Yeah.
that's what I think is very interesting is everybody knows he's on a nice little pay packet. We know that. So I think that's the frustration for a lot of fans with it when it comes to the Bronx cheering and stuff like that is that, dude, you came over for a big amount of money to be our centerpiece, our anchor piece for our defense. And dude, you ain't performing, plain and
No,
simple.
I'd agree. I'd
And I
agree, but
and I and I get that. And I get that. Do I agree that he fully does do I agree that he fully deserves the Bronx cheering and kind of the reaction that some of the Bombers fans give it to him? No. No player does that. Do you think that's helping him play better by mocking him? Absolutely not. Like you're adding to the issues that are already there. Like you're not helping. You're actually doing the exact opposite of what you think you are doing. So that's
yeah,
where I kind of like I said, I'm not trying to retort to come back to rebuttal you. I 100% agree with you. It's just that I think fans there's almost this a little bit of because we are so invested in the club, we feel that it's our duty to do that. But sometimes I don't think they understand that what they're actually doing to the player's mental health is kind of the opposite
yeah.
of probably what you want.
No, I agree.
No, it's a little frustrating. So again, I hope Ben Mackay gets it figured out because he is a good player. He is a very, very good player. The problem is right now he's in another side that's just not performing. And
No.
he's kind of become the scapegoat for it, where it's like, well, where's the midfield pressure? Like because as we've seen in Vision before, sometimes Zach Merritt, God help him, I love him, but him and Darcy Parish have the same problem of they want to get forward of the footy, and if the ball gets turned over, they're way behind where they should be so now it's 7-on-5 when it comes to going into the defense. So it's a bad, bad, bad look. So
Yeah.
100% with you. So let's hop up to a TIO Stadium up in Darwin, and the Suns keep their winning streak alive up in Darwin as they get a win by 29, 89-60. A cracking game, but a little bit unders for me, a little bit because we see Naz Wangini Millera get a pulled before the start of the game, and then Cal Wilkie goes down. So the Saints a little bit hurting in their defensive side of the field.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think the Saints are. You talk about Ben McKay and he's being overpaid for what he's delivering. I think there's a few Saints that could be thrown in that basket. Like I'm not sure DeConning's played too many good games yet. Even like Naz is going okay, but he's the highest paid player in the comp at the moment, and he's certainly not delivering on that. Admittedly, didn't play the other night, but I think the Saints are further away than, and I love him, but I don't think they're as close as what Ross thinks they are. I think they're really starting to show some deficiencies. And if they lose Wilkie out of their back half, which they potentially will for a while, he's it's a little bit of strife for them because it's him or bust in the back half at the moment. Like the other week when Adelaide played against them, it was Silvani going up against Thilthorpe, and that was never a matchup that
Hmm.
that was going to bring any success. So yeah, I think the Saints. I think the game probably says as much about the Saints as it does the Suns. I think since opening round or whatever, round two or whatever they call it, the stupid round where some start and some don't. I think since then, that's the best the Suns have played this year, and I'm not sure they've got close to that again yet. So
Hmm.
I'm a little bit confused about where the Suns are at right now. I think their best is good enough, but I'm just not sure they're delivering it often enough.
Hmm. No, I'm 100% with you. Both these teams are two teams that honestly, I can't tell you if they're great, they're good, or they're average. I really can't tell because if you saw the Suns at the start of the season, I mean, they were being talked about as the best thing since sliced bread. They're gonna
Yeah,
win the premiership. They've got so much talent. I mean, you bring in the talent pool that they did, plus they bring in Petrarca. I mean, how do you stop this team? And then the Petrarca had that injury, was out and the wheels kind of fell off for 3 weeks. Like they couldn't defend, they couldn't score. It's just, I don't know what to go off because when Petrarca's in, they're absolutely fantastic. But if Petrarca were to get tagged out of a game, it's almost the head of the snake is cut off, which is really, really weird for a team that's got so much talent and you've got all these weapons that they're not firing. Like Tuke Miller's been good, but not great. Noah Anderson has been spotty a little bit. Has he had his best season? Absolutely not. Matty Rowell, unfortunately, that broken finger has just bugged the crap out of him since since the State of Origin game. So this has been a Suns team. Again, I'm not really sure what we've got right now. Again, I know there's still plenty of footy still to come. I think their best form is still to come, but I don't know if I can put them in the contender spot right now because they're just too inconsistent for me. And then Petrarca coming back, we've kind of seen that it's not always when he plays his absolute greatest, they're a deadly, deadly side. But we'll have to see. And it's the Saints is the same thing. Like I think everybody kind of thought, well, TDK signs, Nas resigns, Savani moves over. They bring in they bring in Liam Ryan from West Coast. Here we go. Like here the Saints are going to be, and they're still inconsistent. They're still not 100% of what I think a lot of people kind of expected. Again, they kind of have pulled what I call the American sport is we're going to buy ourselves a championship by buying as many great players as we can to put on our team. It's not working, but it's also, I think, a little bit because Naz was so good last year that nobody really kind of tagged him. And now he's being tagged. And we're kind of seeing it disrupts this team a little bit because they really go off when Naz is going, the Saints are going. So it's been really interesting to see. So with both of these teams, there's still a lot of questions. I'm still not 100% sure as
Yeah.
have we seen their best? Are they going to be a team that's going to make some noise come September? We'll have to see. I'm very, very curious with both of them.
I'm just not sure that they've brought in anyone great. Like they've got Nas who was already there, but Zaconning, I think he always played on potential, and he had a few good games. I wouldn't say he ever had a great season. Jack Silvani he's an elite trier, but I'm not sure. Like he's a competitor and he works his ass off, but I'm just not actually sure he's on. They rumored to be 800 plus, which to me's blows my mind a little bit. And then even Liam Ryan, like. He's a good player, but he's not great. I'm just not sure they've brought in the right puzzle pieces, and I'm just I think they might look back at that trade period and scratch their heads a little bit and think, did we give up too much, or did we spend our picks and money in the wrong areas?
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. You already had Rowan Marshall there. I didn't understand the
Yeah,
TDK. I didn't understand the TDK signing. I mean, he's been decent, but I think it's come at a hit to Rowan Marshall's effectiveness. Like
100%.
it's
They,
really, really weird because everybody's like, this is such a great signing, TDK. I'm like, they already had a good ruck in Rowan Marshall.
correct.
Rowan Marshall was really good. He's athletic. He moves around the ground. He does a lot of things. Honestly, I just didn't understand the TDK signing. And it's like Rowan Marshall has not shown it's a little bit like Brody Grundy, Max Gawn. Like neither
Yeah,
of them are really good forwards. They're both really good rucks that can
yeah,
play forward enough to let them get a blow. And it's kind of the same with Rowan Marshall and TDK. Like I just don't see it. It's not working. Again, I know it's 9 rounds in, so there's still plenty of time, but I'm just not seeing it. When Rowan Marshall has played the bulk of the ruck, he's been really good. When he's played the bulk forward, not so much. Trust me, it's not been fun. TDK is not a forward. TDK also the issue that I had with his signing is that his last 10, 15 games at Carlton were putrid. Were not good. So
yeah.
I'm not understanding the signing. Again, I get it. You're gonna have to pay a little bit you're gonna have to pay overs to get him to change clubs. So and I mean, pardon the American pun here, but get your bag, TDK, get your bag, which he did. It just I think Carlton's throwing money at their problems, and I'm not sure if it's fixing them. And that'll be
I
the
don't
big
even think they're throwing it at
thing.
the right problems, but um,
Exactly. No, I agree. I agree. They're throwing it at a problem that I'm not sure was really a problem because I thought Rowan Marshall was fantastic for him.
I'd
I
agree.
I think they really needed Jack Steele's come over and it had been fantastic, but I think they needed not just one but two bulls in the midfield to get the footy out, to get it out to the Brad Hills, the Naz Wanganeen Millers, the Jack Sinclairs, the speedy ball guys on the outside, especially with the way footy's playing nowadays. You need that bull, that Liberatore, that the guy that just goes in, head over the footy, gets the Tommy Atkins, the
Yeah,
Those type of guys. That's what I think they needed, and they didn't get. They really didn't get that. They grabbed everything else except Jack Steele was a free agent signing, and he's
Well, no,
kind of
he left. They
oh
let
no
him
no
go. He
yeah,
went
but
to
they
Melbourne.
let him
Yeah,
go to Melbourne. It's like what are
yeah,
you doing? Like you lost
yeah,
the one thing that you really needed was that bull in the midfield. I'm sorry, I'm thinking Melbourne and
yeah,
thinking what Melbourne got instead of what St Kilda
yeah,
lost. Apologize.
yeah. No, you're fine.
So, all right, let's move over to the next one. Because kind of this the buildup was turned in kind of anticlimactic because the Cats in a home game. For those that are not watching the YouTube, that was the air parentheses from me. As the Cats in a home game get a 122 to 68 win over Collingwood. Pendlebury ties the record for most games played by a player in AFL VFL history. But unfortunately, the Cats ruined the night as the Cats put a whooping on them by 54. I'm really quickly before we talk about the game is so much has been talked about. When is Pendles playing? When is he not? When is he sitting out? I almost kind of agree. Is this is this desire to have Pendles break the record at home kind of affecting the season? Because I don't know about you, but this was not what I expected. I know the Cats are good. I was not expecting the Cats to be this good.
No, they're very good. I'm starting to wonder when the Pendlebury thing's become a bit of a circus and a sideshow in itself. Like, I just I don't understand it. Like, you've still got a premiership to go and try and win, and if they were 8-0 going into this week, then you'd say, yeah, well, you can manage it and do what you want. But I think Collingwood will be fighting for that sort
Mhm.
of 7 through 12 spot. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. They've made it. I get it's a big achievement and celebrate it the week of, but it's been. I feel like we've been talking about Scott Pendlebury breaking the record since round one. So. He's playing some good footy, and don't get me wrong, but yeah, I do wonder a little bit whether that's a little bit of a distraction. I'm not sure, but having said that, Geelong were very, very good and look scary at the moment as well. So, um, yeah, I think it's probably a bit of a combination of both. I think Collingwood were off, but I think Geelong were very, very good as well.
No, 100%. I mean, and the Cats on their day can be one of the most deadly sides in the deadly sides
100%.
there. And the scary part is they're not even full strength. That they're still kind of
No.
Brian Myers is still whether he's going to play with this partially torn ACL will be interesting to see how that goes. Jeremy Cameron really hasn't gotten back to what he has been, the broken arm in the grand final. So he's still I think it's still bothering him a little bit. Whenever he gets hit on that arm, he starts messing with it for the next quarter and a half. But I agree with you. It's become a circus. Like when you go into this game and the only thing they're talking about is Pendle's tying the record or the discussion of can Pendles wear a gold number and when
Yeah,
he
that's
breaks the record,
ridiculous.
I'm like, gee, many crickets, stop talking about something that doesn't matter. Does Collingwood want to make the finals or are they too worried about making sure Pendles gets the send off? Like, I get it, but right now, the circus, as you said, and I agree with it, it has become a circus. It is costing Collingwood games. They just lost a game where I think are their heads like they're so focused on something that's if rumor be taught that he's going to sit this week going up to
Yeah, he's not
Sydney
playing this week.
and then he'll play against West Coast at home, which again, I understand you can do that, but that's one more talented player outside of this Collingwood side, and they're not exactly deep when it comes to their list, when it comes
No,
to youth. So, I mean, I just think this has become, I agree with you, it's become a circus, and I think it's taking away from Collingwood's season. And in some situations, it might not be a bad thing because they haven't played as great a footy. They lose Darcy Moore in this game to concussion, so he's going to be out next week. Yeah, welcome Sydney Swans with one of your best defenders being out. That's a scary combination. And Pendles isn't going to play, so we can make sure he plays against West Coast at home. I don't know. This whole Collingwood saga is just really like I cannot wait till it's over and they've broken it because it's starting to get monotonous. Talk about the footy. Like I get it. Pendles is an incredible player. Again, I don't want to take away from what he's doing. This is an incredible accomplishment, breaking the all-time record. But it's become a circus and it's taken away from the footy and it's very frustrating. So no, with
no,
you
I
on
agree.
that
Yeah.
one. No,
I just I think Geelong and the way they're moving the ball is as good as anyone is at the moment. So um, it's going to be really hard to defend, and they're certainly flying at the moment.
yep, yep, no, 100%. But they've been a little inconsistent too. So again, they're another watch, but they're a team that they may not be there now, but I think they're going to be they're going to be in that top six, top four
They seem to do
discussion.
enough to get it done every week, and
Yeah,
even if they play poorly or play parts of games, they seem to be able to put games away and go through.
yeah.
I think that they can go through the motions a little bit at times, but no, their best is certainly scary, and they look very good Sunday night.
Yeah, and we'll lump these two together and do really really quickly. And I know half of this part you're going to want to talk about a little bit more than another. So, both with the last two games is pretty much the same thing: good team versus not so good team. First, we'll start off. Melbourne beat the West Coast Eagles at Marvel Stadium 99-67, and then over at the MCG, the Adelaide Crows travel over to Victoria and to Melbourne and get a win at 98-61. We'll do it really quickly. Nah, I'm good. Loving Pickett, loving what Coach King is doing at Melbourne. They really have been kind of the great story that's come out of this season. It's been fantastic to see that they've changed their footy. They were a boring side, they were a contested footy side, and now they love to run. And seeing both Pickett's playing some great football, it's really exciting to watch this Melbourne Demons side.
No, I agree. I think they're playing some really good footy. I think I've got a little bit of a watch on them at the moment where I think what they're doing is playing some really good footy. I mean, they did beat Brisbane, but I think Brisbane go through the motions at times, and just need to get to the top six, and they can still win the flag, and I think they know that. So, but no, they're certainly playing some really good footy, and especially against sides that we probably expect won't make that sort of wild card type setup. But I think they've certainly improved the way they go, and I think it's going to be more sustainable moving forward. So they could absolutely make the top eight or top 10 now. But no, I'm probably just want a little bit of a watch on them because I'm not 100% sold that they're going to be contending towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I think they'll make finals, but there is a lot of youth that Melbourne's kind of went to it. You move out Oliver, you move out Petrarca, um, and I think most pundits kind of saw it. There'll be a bottom six side. There'll be a side that's a rebuilding year, and Coach King has come out and kind of changed the expectations a little bit. But I still,
No,
they still have their moments. I mean, this is a side that lost to Essendon, so there's always
yeah,
going to be
correct.
some question marks. And I think they're going to have their moment. They're going to have their moments where they trip over their own feet, which is going to happen, and that's perfectly fine. But I think they're definitely a team I think can make finals. West Coast, the green shoots are there. I just
They are.
I think a lot of people are getting frustrated because those green shoots keep getting run over by a lawnmower because they keep making mistakes that really they can't do it. It's their veterans that are starting to irk a lot of people off because their veterans are making mistakes that they shouldn't.
Yeah.
So I think that's the frustrating part. Like, great to see Elliot Yo back. Again, I'm crossing my fingers, touching wood. Elliot Yo stays healthy because he's an incredibly good footballer,
Yeah, yes.
but he
He's never
can't stay
stayed
healthy.
healthy.
But
Yeah.
he can't stay healthy. That's the biggest issue that Elliot Yo has is that he cannot stay healthy. And that's the frustrating part. You've got Harley Reid, you've got Cooper Duff Tyler, you've got Will Dersma, you've got some really good young talent that I think that West Coast can build on. But it's the Liam Duggins, it's the Elliot Yos, it's the Kellys, it's the Tim Kellys that they need to step up because
He's up.
they're
Yeah.
underperforming compared to
I
the
think
youngsters.
Tim Kelly might be one of the worst trade deals done of all time. I think Geelong is still laughing about that one. I'm not sure he hasn't played a good game since he left. I think so, well, he barely played.
Maybe one or two. We'll give them a little bit.
Yeah,
We'll give them a little bit. Maybe
so
one or two.
Geelong is certainly the winner there.
Oh yeah. Well, if you really think about it, the Tim Kelly trade really was the nexus that helped get Jeremy Cameron
I
from
was going to say, got to
GWS.
be Jeremy Cameron. So
Yeah. So
on that itself is crazy to think that you've effectively traded out Tim Kelly for Jeremy Cameron, another first round pick. Like that blows my mind.
yep. Yep. And really for a bag of chips in the long run, which is really kind of
Yeah.
funny at that. So we'll move on. The MCG, as the Crows man that you are, how happy that you were. A little frightening to start off. Again, Richmond is one of those teams that if you take them lightly, they can nip you. But again, the Crows, quality and class, just a little bit too good for a undermanned Tiger side.
No, I agree, and I mean, not making excuses. I've been a bit critical of the way Adelaide have gone about it this year, but Adelaide is certainly undermanned as well. At the moment, they're
Hmm.
missing probably their two best defenders that are actual lock defenders that allow Worrell to do what he can do with his intercept stuff. So Butt's out and Mark Keane out as well. Certainly hasn't helped. And then you look, you've got no Tex Fogarty. And Archie in the front half as well. So and Mitch Hinge across halfback. So they're
Yep.
certainly missing a lot of players at the minute.
Yeah,
It's their
there's
method.
six first side guys right there. So
Yeah, correct. It's their method for me that's a worry at the moment. Like the first half, I was only talking about it just before at training. As it was like Adelaide were playing, like there was 30 seconds to go and they were 3 points up, but they were doing it for a whole half. They were just playing so safe, and then they were just getting burnt on turnover because Richmond were going quickly, and they were probably lucky it was only 10 points at halftime.
yep. No, it's scary to think, like I said, this crow side, once they get healthy. I mean, Keen's already back. Keen's already back running. Hinge hopefully will get back here in the next few. They'll get back here in the next few weeks off that hamstring injury.
Hmm.
But I'm not sure how. I haven't had a
Couple of
chance to
weeks, I
check.
think.
Yeah, another couple of weeks. Archie, was it another probably at least 2 or 3 weeks on his
No, he's back.
hamstring?
He'll be back this week. He played in the sample on the
Good,
weekend.
good. And then Fogarty and
He'll
Tech
be
should be
back.
what, another couple of weeks?
Fogarty's back this week. He played
Okay.
sample as well, and Tex will be. I think they said sort of the Hawthorn game or after the bye. It just depends on how it's going. If I'm the coach of someone that's 36 years of age and still at the best forward, I'm probably giving him the extra couple of
Yep.
weeks off and making sure he's ready to go for the back half of the season.
Yep. And that's when you need him the most. But that's the good thing that you're looking at it there is that most of those six should be back at the absolute latest between rounds 12 and 15, which is right when you're
Yeah.
going to need him. You hit that really heavy spot of the competition. So no, very, very interesting. So that is all 9 games discussed here. Let's hop right into it. We get to my part, which is the burning questions. And I'm fascinated on this. We didn't have a show last week, unfortunately, with some scheduling situations with my co-host. An emergency popped up. Everything's fine, but it just was one of those. There was no way I was getting the show out in time, so I took a week off, which is perfectly fine. So we didn't get to discuss Whiteboard Gate. So, Brad, as a coach that you are, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. What were your thoughts on Whiteboard Gate after last round? Because for me, this was a mountain out of a molehill. And then I have a few thoughts on this. So your thoughts on Whiteboard Gate and what you thought, how it was handled and kind of what happened.
I think they were really unlucky that it got out. Like to have an Oz kick as parent, I don't know what they were doing in there to be in eye shot of that whiteboard to start with. I thought it was, yeah. In any preparation for a match, and any footage that's shown, like there's a lot worse things said than that. Probably the only thing I didn't like about it was the mention of a player's partner on the whiteboard, saying that that
Mhm.
was the only positive about it. I didn't. I thought that was a bit distasteful. But apart from that, like it shouldn't have got out. And the rest of it, really, you're preparing for a game, and if they are their weaknesses, they're their weaknesses, and you've got a plan to exploit it. Like it's
Yeah.
a game of footy. It's serious situation at AFL level. Like you don't have to be nice to your opposition. That's certainly not part of winning a game of footy. So I just thought it was a massive blow up, and there was probably only one thing that really was even a little bit questionable with a partner's name listed on the board. Outside of that, I just thought I didn't actually understand what all the fuss was about.
Yeah. Here's my approach to this. From what I kind of gathered from the information, again, a little bit of is fuzzy, that the reason that was this was even seen was because that at their training facility, which was where this was at, they have tours. So fans are able to be brought through the facility. And that Oz kicking dad, who is an Essendon supporter, we do know that that's come out. He saw it as they were walking through again, kind of thought it was something that was interesting, took a picture, shared it with a friend. That friend posted it. So it actually wasn't even the Oz kicker's dad
Yeah.
that posted it, which I thought was even more interesting. But here's my retort to this. I get that Fagan was upset that it got out. I get it. But my response to him is, if you know, okay, if you know that Brighton Homes Arena, that area has tours, and this is can be seen, that's on you, Brisbane, for not putting it where it can't be seen.
Yeah, I
Number
agree.
one. Number two, I agree with you. Did I not like the fact that a player's partner was mentioned? Absolutely, 100% with you. But from what I gather, he was a former Lions player. They all knew it. It was kind of a joke. It really wasn't
Yeah,
even an intentional thing. And even from what I hear, that they actually talked with the player's partner, and the player's partner had no problem with it. Neither did the player. So that's a little bit where people got upset about that, and it really wasn't even a big deal for the people involved. So I kind of,
yeah,
it, again, 100%. Here's the thing. Essendon approached it really well. They kind of were like, nah, it happens. And I
yeah,
agree. So many people were saying that they've seen worse on their own. Like it was relatively tame compared to some of the other ones. Like somebody said that theirs was like really, really personal. Like Kate McCarthy actually said, she goes, maybe it's AFLW. She goes, but we did strengths and weaknesses and it got personal with some of the things that they did. It hasn't gotten out. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. I think you got to kind of keep it on the footy field. So that's the only part that I didn't like. But I'm gonna say, I think Brisbane, Chris Fagan's kind of getting upset about it. I'm like, dude, it's a little bit on you. You need to make sure that that is not within visual sync for anybody to see, let alone the chance that an Oz kicker's dad is actually an Essendon supporter and would take a picture. So I Brisbane is just as much to account for it as the Oz kicker's dad. Like, come on, dude, don't take a picture of that. Come on, have a little bit of sense here. But again, we're at a social media area. The phone is very easy to grab and take a picture. You have to be more diligent. It's a mountain out of
yeah.
a molehill. I don't really think it's a big deal, but I mean, it was holy crap, did people lose their minds over it? I thought it was really interesting. Like I said, I didn't have a show last week, so that's why I wanted to, as a coach, have you ever done a whiteboard like that?
Um, No, we do. We certainly did. I was more video clips, so would show more how we could exploit through video, and I'm certainly more of a visual type guy. But no, we speak about players and certainly their strengths. I was probably more strength focused and trying to take away their strengths, but certainly there was players you could exploit. If you had a halfback that didn't like to defend, you'd certainly try and play through their opponent more to take them out of the game or make them think more about their game. But I'm not huge on pointing out other people's weaknesses. I'm more worried about trying to stop them from their strengths.
Yep, very true. I'm 100% with you on that one. So we'll get off of it, but as a coach that you are, I was interesting your take on that. Like I said, it was a fascinating week of it got frustrating how much they had to talk about every
Yeah, I'm
single
sick
show.
of hearing about
I
it,
mean,
to be honest with you.
Triple M took the piss out of it, which I kind of appreciated. They kind of had a little bit more fun with it, but it was one of those. It was like it
Saw
started
it
to
for
get
what it was.
monotonous with how much it was being talked about, and some people that were joining, and there weren't even football people that were talking about it. It's like, come on, like whatever. But we'll move on. So move to the next question, and I'm interested on this. We've kind of discussed it, and it's a term that's always constant is Premiership contender. So who's got a chance to win the flag? So I'll ask you this for you, Brad. How many teams do you think are genuine Premiership contenders this year?
Um, I'll probably think through it at the moment. Geelong certainly are. We talked about them. Sydney, Brisbane, Fremantle, and Hawthorn. That's probably. I can't think of anyone else right now that could win it out of those five. I don't think. I think there's teams that if they get their games going, absolutely could. Um,
Hmm.
but right now, for me, there's probably those five that seem to be the standouts at the minute. I'm not sure that anyone. I think the Gold Coast is still. They haven't convinced me yet that they. I think they can, but I'm not. I'm not sold on them just yet. Whereas I'm certainly sold on those five that they can win the flag.
Yep, that you're reading my mind, Coach, because I was the same thing. Those were the five. Sydney, Fremantle, Hawthorn, Brisbane, and Geelong are the top five on the ladder, and I agree. All five of those on their day can win the Premiership. Gold Coast is sitting at six, and I agree with you. I'm not convinced of them just yet. There's still some things they need to prove to me. Melbourne's sitting there in seventh, same point total as Gold Coast, Geelong, and Brisbane. So it'll be fascinating. And then Adelaide, Western Bulldogs, Collingwood round out the 10. So I'm with you. I think the top five, the biggest question will be is who gets top four because they get that extra buy, even more a little bit, which will be interesting because I know it's been almost seemed to hurt some teams a little bit because of the so much gap between footy games between round 24 and the preliminary final. So it'll be interesting to see. But no, I think on their day, Sydney, Fremantle, Hawthorn, Brisbane, and Geelong all could win the premiership if they catch it, which is great because usually it's two, maybe three. So the fact that we've got five teams that we really could see being that, again, I know 9 games into the season, injury, form, different things like that. But right now, it's great to see five teams that genuinely can win the premiership. If Gold Coast can get their shit together, I think they could be six. But right now, I'm not convinced that this young side with inconsistencies has that has that ability right now. Again, plenty of season still to play out on that. So, and we always end the burning questions with a question about your club. So let's have some fun, Brad. As the Adelaide supporter that you are, can the Crows bounce back and become a top six side this season?
I think they absolutely can. Whether they do or not's another question. I think they've got some unbelievable talent, and we talk about struggling at the moment. It's been pretty well reported that Thilthorpe's got a bad back at the moment, and he's clearly struggling with that. They've probably been snookered a little bit where they can't rest him because they don't have Fogarty or Walker playing, so he's sort of had to push through a little bit. I would be really keen to see him get a break either side of the one side of the bye or the other, just to give him a chance to freshen up. But I think he holds a massive key to it because I think at his best he can be the best forward in the game,
Mhm.
if he can get back into form. And I think Adelaide absolutely can. I think their ball movement needs to change. I think they need to bring in a little bit more handball game and change angles and look to be a bit more aggressive by foot. I think they're too safe and for too long. And I know they've showed parts where the Collingwood second half they opened it right up, and I know against even Richmond on the weekend they won the second half by 50 points or something like that. So they're certainly capable of scoring. They've just got to trust themselves to be a little bit more aggressive and take the game on a little bit more. So I think between personnel, which without making excuses, because I've been pretty frustrated as a Crows fan this year, they've certainly had some of their more key personnel out, and I think their ball movement needs to change. If they can get those two things going, I absolutely think Adelaide could push and. With a little bit of rose-coloured glasses, I'm hoping it's a little bit of last year in reverse. Whereas I think Adelaide were the best team in the comp for probably 15 weeks, but when it got to the finals, they'd been worked out, or things weren't going their way, or whatever it was. They certainly didn't play well in finals. But my biggest positive out of the weekend was seeing Isaac Rankin up around the midfield, and he was by far the best player and on the ground. So him up around the ball and going well certainly will make a huge difference for Adelaide. And yeah, I think having Dawson back as well with what he's gone through, and I know that
Mhm.
it's a tough situation, and it's hard without being in the four walls of the club to know what impact that's had on the group as well. So. And just a little bit I did see today to sidetrack a little bit. I saw that Mark Keane actually asked his brother passed away on the morning of the showdown, and he asked that the players not be told till the next day because he didn't want any distraction from going and winning the showdown. So it's certainly a huge thing for him to, while he's hurting, put club first as well. So I thought that was a really selfless story as well. So I know the club's gone through some heartache, but that seems to be pretty standard for the Crows, unfortunately, with what they've gone through. So I just wonder a little bit whether that Dawson situation culminated in that Brisbane game where everyone was a bit flat, and I know that they'd been sort of putting Jordan at front of mind, which it's only a game of football. Life's so much more important than that. So I'm just sort of hoping they can get to the bye, and if they can beat North Melbourne this week and get to the bye at worst 6-5. Or 6-6 or whatever it'll be. So how many wherever it'll be 6-5, I think, if they win this week. So and then lose to Hawthorn. So if they get in at that and then reset the second half of the year, I think they can certainly push for that top six and contend.
Yeah, I think a combination of getting healthy. I mean, having the six players that we kind of discussed a little bit earlier, all to still come back in because they're all top six. They're all top 22, 23 players. That coming back, getting a little bit of a nice little run of form with everybody. I think letting Riley Thilthorpe maybe get as you said, get an extra bye week to clarify. If they win this week, it'll actually make them 6-4, 6-4.
So 6-5 if they lose to Hawthorn. Yeah,
Yep, 6-5 if you lose to Hawthorn. So yep, definitely on that. But I'm I honestly think so. I think they could be one of those sides that kind of a little bit like Brisbane last year, didn't start off the greatest, but got healthy at the right time and started playing their better football. I agree with you with some of the personnel that they have. I'd love to see them unleash both Rankin and Rochelle through the middle with Dawson. I think that could be a scary combination, especially if you can get Fogarty,
yeah,
Tex, and Philthorpe healthy and all in the forward line. Neil Bullen, it'd be interesting to see, can they do that? Can they get a little bit more out of Isaac Cumming? He's been a little bit underwhelming this year. I think some things. I've actually been pleasantly surprised with Luke Pedler, the way he's played at times this year, and getting that back line healthy and getting the back
yeah,
line that was so good last year together again, getting Butts,
yeah,
Hinge, and Keane back in with Worrell and with Laird coming off and Miller playing really good too. Like that's a scary
yeah.
combination if you get this
Miller has
health.
been good.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah,
been
Miller's
fantastic for them this year.
he's leading the best and fairest, I think, at the moment, and by a
Yep,
margin. And the other one that's
100%.
really surprised me, and I think almost he'd almost be one of the biggest surprises in the AFL this season is McAndrew. I think he's been outstanding, and
Yep,
um,
yep,
Rob frustrates the hell out of me. So it was certainly good to see McAndrew doing what he's doing, and I think that number one ruck spot's his, and he'd sort of have to be injured or something would have to go horribly wrong for him to fall out of that because I think he's doing a great job.
yep. No, he's one of those that the new rock rules I think have benefited.
Yeah,
And then the fact
100%.
that he got signed in because he was with Sydney. He was with Sydney as a rugby union boy. That and just he could not get in because he was inconsistent in the VFL. So I didn't surprise me when they let him go, especially when they brought in Brody Grundy, and he's found a home at Adelaide. The new ruck rules, it's almost perfect, and it's been fantastic to see him play this year. And unfortunately, I think we could be seeing Riley O'Brien's days as a ruck in the AFL come to an end because I just don't know if these ruck rules really help him because he already struggled a little bit getting around the ground sometimes. Now you add this athleticism that they really want these rucks to have that he just doesn't. And again, no offense to Rob, that's just the truth. Um, Unfortunately, I think Rob could be one of those guys that eventually we could see phased out of the AFL purely on the fact
I
that the,
agree.
the rules have changed. And again, it is no disrespect to Rob, and I hate seeing a player get phased out, but the rules have kind of made him obsolete, which kind of
No, I
stinks.
agree.
But no, but
No,
it but for some Crows fans, that actually isn't a bad thing because Rob has been a bane, as you said, of
yeah,
some of your guys' nightmares. Because especially the drop, I think one of the kicks last year where the drop just did not go well for him. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to kick you while you're down here. So that is it for burning questions. Again, wishing the best of luck to the Crows. Like I said, once they get healthy, they could be a scary, scary side. So we move
I'd
on
say.
from there to one of my favorite parts is Team of the Week, which is a lot of fun. So Brad, you have not been on for one of these shows. So with my Team of the Week, I'm a little bit different. I know some people, it's how they look. I think scoreboard impact is a huge, huge part of the game. I think when you can make an impact on the scoreboard. So goals, score involvements, and goal assists tend to be something that really help you make the team of the week. So I have my team of the week to have. So I want to know what your thoughts of this group that I have put together. Let's start off. Fullback line, we have Josh Battle of the Hawthorn Hawks, Alira Lear of Port Adelaide, and Cal Mills of the Sydney Swans. Along the halfback line, Cam Zerha of the North Melbourne Kangaroos, Jack Sinclair of the St Kilda Saints, and John Noble of the Gold Coast Suns. On the wings, we have Michael Frederick of the Fremantle Dockers and Levi Ashcroft of the Brisbane Lions. In the guts, my ruck, been the surprising great ruck of this particular competition this year, Essendon's Peter Wright. In the guts, Isaac Heaney of the Sydney Swans, Toby Green of the GWS Giants, and Darcy Wilson of the St. Kilda Saints. Along the half forward line, we have Logan Morris of the Brisbane Lions, Ollie Henry of the Geelong Cats, and Jacob Van Rooyen of the Melbourne Demons. On the full forward line, we have Jack Gunston of the Hawthorn Hawks, Mitch Georgiades of the Port Adelaide Power, and Gold Coast Ben King. On the bench, this is how I do the bench separation. We have a defender, a ruck, a midfielder, a forward, and then a utility from any part of the ground that had a great game. My defender is Port's Logan Morris. My ruck is Max Gawn of the Melbourne Demons. My midfielder is Finn O'Sullivan of the North Melbourne Kangaroos. My forward is Harry Mackay of the Carlton Blues. And my utility, make my man smile, Mr. Isaac Rankin of the Adelaide Crows. So I know it's a lot of names really quickly. Thoughts on Team of the Week?
Yeah, well, when I thought you were leaving Rankin out there, I thought you must have missed that game. But no, I think Wayne Miller might be a little bit stiff as a Crows fan. I think he had 34 and went at 92%, so he was certainly pretty instrumental in
That's where the
getting them
goal
all
that's where
going.
the goals make is kind of is how that goes on that. No, I agree. He was fantastic, but Zerha kicked a goal, Sinclair kicked a goal, John
Yeah,
Noble
that's
kicked
fair.
a goal. So it's kind of one of those. It's that helps my metrics. It makes it a little bit easier because sometimes it's splitting hairs with the disposals and the effectiveness. So
Yeah, no, well, even when Miller kicks goals, they seem to get taken away anyway. So, no, but yeah, that's fair enough. But no, I just thought he was outstanding again on the weekend.
oh yeah, yeah. If there wouldn't have been as many goals kicked, he would have been in there for sure because he has been fantastic. So, and then we do the other part, which is a lot of fun for me, is my power rankings. And again, I do this by form and not by where they are in the ladder. It's by form. So the last 5 games is what I judge off of. How many games they've won in a row, how many games they've won over that 5 game period, and how they've turned out. So here is my power rankings for this round. At 5, the Adelaide Crows. At 4, the Geelong Cats. At 3, the Brisbane Lions. At 2, the Sydney Swans. And at 1, the Fremantle Dockers. So Hawthorn falls out of the top 5 with their loss in that game against Freo. So pretty standard again. 4 of the 5 that we were talking about, Hawthorn falling out because of the loss. Adelaide some great form recently. So thoughts on the power rankings?
Yeah, no, I mean, I did say the other day, or only today, that I know Adelaide have won 4 of their last 5, but it doesn't feel like that as a Crows fan at the moment. They seem to be working for everything we get, but it's better that than the other way around. But no, I'd agree. I think Fremantle are probably in the best form at the moment and the most consistent side. So I'm glad we sort of Adelaide have seen the back of them for a while, playing them not that long ago. But no, I think that sounds pretty accurate. I'm not sure Adelaide are the fifth best team at the moment, but they're certainly doing what they can. All you can do is beat what's put in front of you, and they've won 4 or 5. So
By form, they've been
yeah,
playing good again. And the scary part again, like I said, just they're not even healthy. So the scary part is wait till they're healthy. It'll be fun.
yeah,
So, and we
hopefully.
always end my episodes with tipping the previous rounds. I know we're still early in the week. I know injury reports, but let's have some fun. Let's tip. Let's see how we go. Let's start off a cracking game on Thursday night footy up at the Gabba as the Brisbane Lions host the Geelong Cats. The Cats coming off a big win over Collingwood. Fun one here. Who do you like? Lions, cats.
I can say it with my wife not around because she's a Geelong supporter, but I think Brisbane. I think Brisbane win on Thursday night. They don't lose in Brisbane too often, and Geelong are flying into Brisbane too. It should be a cracking game. But if the game was in Geelong, I'd be tipping Geelong, but it's in Brisbane, so I'll tip Brisbane.
Yeah, I'm gonna tip Brisbane on this one, but I think this is an absolute cracker. I know sometimes
Yeah,
Geelong can be Brisbane's dang kryptonite just the tiniest bit, but I
yeah,
think being up at the Gabba, I think if this was down at GMHBA, I'd probably tip the Cats because I think where the game is played really does affect, especially in this matchup. But gonna tip Brisbane in this one, but I think this is a cracker. I think this one is going to be a lot of fun to watch on Thursday night. Another double Friday night footy match. Thankfully, only one of the games will I be paying attention to, and we'll start off with that one, is the Sydney Swans host the Collingwood Magpies again. No Pendlebury. I think no Pendlebury. I don't think he's that big a deal, even if he was playing. I think the Swans are playing some really good football. Hoping Charlie Curnow and Jai Sarong are both back. We'll have to see on that. But even no Charlie Curnow, we saw Logan McDonald, Hayden McLean, and Joel Armati gave headaches to the North Melbourne back line, and no Darcy Moore. I think this is a bad combination for Collingwood. I like the Swans in this one, but again, interesting to see how does Sydney handle Nick Dacos.
Yeah, I think Nick Dacos is the best player in the comp. I'm pretty strong on that, but I don't think it'll matter. I think they need five Nick Dacos to take care of Sydney this weekend. I think Sydney are flying, and I wouldn't be surprised if that gets pretty ugly pretty quickly for Collingwood. I think Sydney could win that by 10 plus goals.
Yep. And then the other Friday night footy up in TIO Stadium up in Darwin. For me, this is already a chalk up. Gold Coast Suns versus Port Adelaide. I got the Suns in this one. They just don't lose at Darwin.
My head and my heart both say the Suns win that one. So
Yep. So we'll move on to the next one, the one that I know you will be paying attention to a lot on Saturday afternoon as your beloved Crows or Crowana, as they are going to be called, since we are in Sir Douglas Nichols round. Absolutely love this. They play North. Crows, Roos. Who do you like?
I think Adelaide. I think if they're going to be serious this year, that this is a game they just need to get done. And I think even though Thilthorpe's still not necessarily flying, I think North's backline's their weakness. And Fogarty comes back in, Archie comes back in, Rochelle plays forward. Dawson's been resting forward, and they're rotating players like Curtin, Dawson, Rochelle ranking through there. I think if Adelaide get enough out of win enough or split the midfield battle, I think Adelaide should be getting the job done.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a cracking game. I think the Crows just a little bit too much being at Adelaide Oval, but again, the Roo boys have been playing some good football. It'll be fun to see. Again, this is another tester. Can they put a scare? It'll be definitely interesting, like in the Crows in
I
this
hope
one.
not.
But North is going to have a crack in this, and this is going to be a fun one. Over to the MCG as Melbourne becomes Nam for this particular part of the competition as Nam take on Hawthorn. A fascinating one on this. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm tipping the Demons. No Barras, a little bit of the travel from the west back over to the east, again, having to do that. Nam playing some good football. I like Max Gone in the matchup, even though I know he'll be facing Meek and the two-headed monster that is for the Hawks. But I like Gone in this matchup, and I think the midfield, I like Nam. I like the going forward. I'm tipping the D's in this one.
I actually agree with you. I think Jack Gunston sounds like he's in doubt as well, and he's another one that's I think he's 35 or 36 now as well. So you just don't want to be risking any of those older guys brass out. I don't know. I say Melbourne and Hawthorn probably go and win. This one's probably the hardest one to pick of the round. But no, actually I will go with Hawthorn. I think they just seem to get it done this year, and they've matured in another year of being in the final. So I'll change my mind there. I actually think Hawthorn will win that game of footy.
Yeah, no, fully understanding the tipping competition that I'm in, 93% of picking Hawthorne. I just have this feeling Nom has that ability that I think this is that stick of being able to say, hey, we're legit. We're not just a flash in the pan in a couple of games. And no Barath, I think really helps because you've got Van Royen up there. Max Gawn can shift forward, especially
Yeah.
the way Max Heath was playing a couple of games ago against Brody Grundy. I think that really helps out, can keep Max going fresh a little bit. This could be a danger game. That one's going to be a lot of
Oh, I
fun to
agree.
watch.
I think it'll be close.
The interesting cup here for me at Marvel Stadium, Carlton Blues versus the Western Bulldogs. A fascinating one on this. Tipping the doggies, but could this be the perfect time for the Blues to catch the dogs again? A little bit undermanned, not always at the greatest of form. They escape Port Adelaide. Some again, is Blount healthy? How's he going to pull up after another game against Port Adelaide? Tipping the doggies, but this seriously has me thinking Carlton could pull a shocker.
No, I agree. I think the Dogs win, but I wouldn't be completely stunned if Carlton were. They're going to win one eventually. So maybe this week's their maybe this week's their opportunity. So I think it'll be close, but I do think the Dogs will win.
Yep, no, that'll be a fascinating one. And this one at the MCG, we see Essendon take on Wallyalup or Fremantle as we call it. Normally, I'm a little leery about Fremantle traveling east, but I think they've been playing really well. They get an Essendon at just the right time. I like the Dockers, and I think this could get ugly. This could get ugly if the Dockers play their best footy.
No, I agree. I think Fremantle is playing as good as footy as anyone at the moment, and they're certainly the most consistent side. I think they'll belt Essendon. I think with Essendon at the moment, they're capable of playing one good game. They've yet to back up a second one. They were good on the weekend, but I think Fremantle will belt them.
Yep, it'll be interesting on this one. I am not going to butcher the Aboriginal name here, so I'm just going to call them by their normal St. Kilda versus Richmond, Marvel Stadium. This is a fun one. Who do you like in this one?
I actually think Richmond will win. I think their ball movement's really exciting. It's under the roof. It's not going to be affected by weather. I thought their ball movement, as much as Adelaide frustrated me on the weekend, I actually thought Richmond were quite good for the first half. So I actually think Richmond will beat St Kilda. I'm just not sure where St Kilda are at the moment. They seem to be able to play bits and pieces of games, but I actually think Richmond will get the job done on the weekend.
I wish I had that much confidence in it. I know no Wilkie. I'm not sure on Naz. If Naz plays, I'm a little bit more confident in St. Kilda. I'm gonna tip the Saints in this one. I think that they've just got a little bit more consistency in their game, and Richmond can be quite fickle. So I'm gonna tip St. Kilda in this one. But I agree with you. I really could see this is a perfect time for Richmond to catch it a little bit undermanned, a few injuries, a little bit of inconsistency, just the right time. This could be a perfect storm for it. Tipping St. Kilda, but I agree with you. I think Richmond is in with a shout on this one. And then the West Coast Eagles, again, not gonna butcher it, not gonna do that. I can't disrespect the Aboriginal name of the West Coast Eagles versus GWS at Optus Stadium. Giants for me, again, neither team is filling me with confidence with their form right now, but I think the Giants just a little bit too much talent, a little bit more consistent with their play, like the Giants in this one.
No, I agree. I think it'll be close, to be honest.
I
But
agree.
West Coast looks like a team at the moment that have almost forgotten how to win. They probably should have been beating Richmond at home the other week, but couldn't get that done. So, no, I think the Giants, but I think it'll be close.
Yeah, no, it'll be an interesting one for sure. That is it. That is all 9 games tipped for round 10. It'll be a fascinating one again. Sir Douglas Nichols round gets started. Always one of my favorites. The jumpers are absolutely fantastic, but we will talk a little bit more about that later. So before we hop off, again, Brad, as you said, you're coaching now at Morfett Park. Um, just real quickly, how's the season going? How are things looking for it? And how excited are you to get back with the coaches board back in your hand?
No, it's been good, and I've got some really special connection to the club and some of the people there. So I've really enjoyed being back there. We haven't had our best team on the park yet this season. We're sort of a bit undermanned again this week, but we this week's round five. We're 2-2 leading into this and playing who I think are the best team in the comp. So we'll certainly have a crack and hopefully come out on top. But I know in the coming weeks we get players back, which I'm really excited for. So no, it's a really even comp. I think. You have a bad day and you'll lose no matter who you play, but if you play your best, you're certainly capable of winning it. So it's going to be a really good final series. I'm just trying to hope and make sure we're part of it. But no, I'm really enjoying it. It's been good. It's certainly a balance that I am enjoying, and I love top time coaching Sanford W. But it's just if you're coaching Sanford W, you don't have a life outside of that, and
Mhm.
that's just the way it is. It's enjoyable, but I'm certainly enjoying Div One amateur league footy as well, and enjoying my time back at a club that gave me a chance as a coach, and it's good to go back and spend some time with some really good friends there.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic. I'm glad that you are happy and have that great work-life balance. It's absolutely fantastic. So, and again, wishing you the best of luck on this round again. Give him hell for me. I cannot wait. So I will definitely reach out to see how that goes. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this episode of Dynasty Disposals. Again, keep track of it. More footy coverage to come. As we said, we've finally got through our first reviews of each of the state leagues, and we've got VFL to talk again as we have 3 rounds through some fantastic football being played in the Victorian Football League, and as per usual, the Sandful and Waffle with cracking competitions as well. So we will be back with more footy coverage very, very soon.